I would start by saying that I have a personal experience over these 17 years. I have a personal experience with the company, Dundee Precious Metals. Um, I will just click this slide because this is a mining company since 2004. Actually, before that, Dundee Precious Metals was only an investment fund. So coming to Bulgaria and purchasing the properties of a Chelopech mine, underground mine, it actually transformed from an investment fund to an operating mine. So I have been able to have the view and to also experience all the transformations from a company stepping in the country and transforming mining to a whole new area. What I could say is that the company coming to Bulgaria made a promise, and the promise was to promise and to do even more than what we promised. And I should say that all through those years, we've been keeping to this promise, and all the values that the company has, here you can see them. It's something that we really believe, that we as a company grow together with the community, grow together as professionals. So the strategic pillars and our strategic objectives as a company have developed over time to respond to not only the latest developments, but also to respond to the needs of the community to grow together with us. We are mostly concentrated on exploration, development, and mining and processing of precious metals. Our global portfolio is not very big, but it is also far better than when we started, with only Chelopech as a mining brownfield project and Krumovgrad as a greenfield project. So at the moment, the company is spread in Bulgaria with the first two, Chelopech and Adatepe. Chelopech being an underground mining operation and Adatepe being an open pit, both producing mines already. A very recent acquisition is the Loma Larga project in Ecuador, where the company is experiencing quite a lot of challenges so far because of the project being in an area of protected area with lots of environmental issues as well. Timok in Serbia is also a project which is a feasibility study stage. SUMEP is the smelter that the company had to acquire in Namibia, actually to be able to have a market for the Chelopech concentrate, which is a concentrate containing arsenic. And in that case, it is a little bit more difficult to smelt. So SUMEP was acquired to mostly deal with the Chelopech concentrate and further on modernized. And of course, there are some strategic investments along the way, but these are more in an early stage. What is interesting, the company acquired, as I said, two projects. One was an operating mine already, a brownfield mine that had been operating by the time the company acquired it, about 50 years. It's been a state-owned mine and quite a lot of historical environmental damage. It was undercapitalized, and at the moment that the company acquired it, it really had a lot of problems with the environment, with the people, with investment generally. What the company did, though, believing in the Bulgarian people that it purchased the mine with, is that people are important, and people with their ideas and the willingness to work can change the mine. So having the, I should say, Western culture, the Canadian company started investing firstly in the people and secondly in the technology. Everything was modernized. The equipment that was used at the time was very old, rundown. So slowly the company modernized the equipment to a stage where at the moment our people at the surveyors team use drones underground This was something that nobody could imagine at the time. But actually, with the skills of people and, of course, the investment in better equipment, appetite for more comes. Chelopech was an area where mining is a traditional activity. It's an area where there are two mines in adjacent area, as well as a smelter. So people have been very much familiar with the site of the mine, very much familiar with the mining as a trade, but nonetheless very much willing to go into an area where mining was better in terms of its environmental impact, better in terms of health and safety conditions. So with the start of investments, very quickly the need to invest even more in environment and health and safety came. So these are aspects that changed dramatically over time too. I will go to the next project, Adatepe, which the most important thing I should highlight is that this is the first mine to open in 40 years. This is a huge time where you lose experience, you lose the professional skills of people. So it is an absolute new beginning, not only for an area that when we went there was an agricultural area. People believed they had lived and doing their peppers and tobacco all their lives and all their generations. So when we went there wanting to have a mine, they said, we don't want a mine actually. We've been doing our land here. So we started with a green field that was slowly changing over time. But what is important is that the company, with its consecutive efforts to understand the community, to understand their needs, actually tried to and built subsequently a bridge between what the company wanted and what the community wanted. All of a sudden, though, because there are archaeological research, this is part of the necessary steps we had to go through. All of a sudden, we found out that historically, this had been a mining site, actually. And archaeologists turned out to find that this was the oldest mine in Europe to mine gold. But who knew, actually, that thousands of years ago, these people living on that area had the skills to mine. Of course, very, very old-fashioned and methods that we cannot imagine, but still mining. These are some of the challenges that we had to meet initially. Natura 2000 zone, not only an area that nobody knew industry existed, but it was a Natura 2000 area. There is an underground protected water body, archaeological site, as I said. We are close to Greece. This area of Krumovgrad is bordering Greece, so we had the Transboundary Pollution Directive as well in force, and the proximity to residential areas. Actually, the town of Krumovgrad is about maybe 2 kilometers straight line from the mine, so very close. And you can see our mine life has only life span of 8 years. So it is not a very big thing. Now I will hand to Ivan, who can explain all the interesting parts that went to, as you can see, 2004.
Thank you. After the beautiful part of our team, and now we can try to explain lots of things that happened in the past and something that happened now. Like you see here on this interesting. Okay, this is now, and these people was agricultural people. Now they are miners. And what I can say at the beginning is that our permitting procedure is starting in 2003 and complete in 2019. That means that in 2019 we're starting to make concentrate from this mine. And first, our investment proposal was a very how to say good from business perspective, but not so good from people's perspective and NGOs perspective. Actually, like you see here, it starts in 2003 and 2004. There was a time when the Bulgaria is still not a member of EU, and there is no anything connected with Natura 2000. To be more harder, in 2007 we are a get member to EU, and we have a Natura 2000 directive in force, and we have lots of new legislation inside the country. At that moment, we need to rethink how we can go forward with this project, how we can go forward. In 2019, actually it's in 2010, but it's a long procedure. This is because I talked again about 2019. We have a new investment proposal, we call it, for processing of gold ore to concentrate. The first project was with cyanides and gold doré at the end, like a final product. The new one is using, how to say, conventional, let's say, methods in mining and processing, and the gold ore is from gold ore we producing the concentrate. Actually, like you see here, the next steps in our procedure was the mining concession, which is a step forward after the environmental impact assessment. Actually, all these steps that I'm talking about that completed with some permit are subject to appealing. And we going with every permit, every of our permits was appealed from municipality, from NGOs, and from some local persons. Why is a other question. After that, let's say that the changing point is here at that moment when we starting the procedures with the land acquisition and going to construction permit. Why I'm talking about the game changer? Here you can see the protests of locals, which was in front of the first project. They have them concerns and they raised, but they didn't raise on any, how to say, on any conversation. They raised on the squares and in the mountain. The first project, like I said, was with cyanide usage. The project footprint was bigger, and we need to resettle people. And Natura 2000 was in the beginning of our thinking about the things in Bulgaria, how we can invest in Natura 2000 areas. I will go forward because I think that the most important thing, like in previous presentation of Energislav company, and like in our case too, is the social license to operate. In our case, it was like I said, it is a 14 years of permitting process. And why? Because we didn't do well the things here at that moment. Why is the circle is bigger one in the middle? This is because without this, there is no permitting. It's smaller step than this one. And this one step, the conversation with the locals, NGOs, and all stakeholders is beginning here. When you're trying to generate the investment proposal and how you explain what you would like to do. Again, back to previous presenter. We do our mistakes. We pay for them. We pay bloody, let's say, but we are learn how we can go forward. And what we are done with the new project, the new investment proposal, we're starting with lots of conversations with locals, with NGOs, with any stakeholder who would like to share with us some time for explanation or just to hear us. From time to time, the people that coming to us and where we going are growing, and this is starting to change the let's say not exactly the statement, but it's changing the way of thinking of people. What will happen if we have mine? Let's say that we don't have, you're not allowed to have mine in my mind, but I start to think, what will happen if I have? Let's say that we feel that moment and starting to talking about them concerns, real concerns, but real concerns. And actually, they're always real for people. But we're starting to hurt concerns and make some mitigation measures, or let's say clarification of things that raising concerns without the meaning, let's say. And what we are doing, there is written some of the concerns of the people, but maybe they're the most important, let's say. And first of all is preserving the water. Why preserving the water? Because people, like Gergana said, and it is agricultural land around, and people have them salaries. It's not salaries. It's a it's a money from selling the production coming from the land. And actually, you need to have a clear water. The next thing is what will happen with my air that I will breathe here. What you can say at the beginning of some project. Again, beginning to previous presentation, said, but you can say too much, because it's if I told you that everything will be okay, is it okay or not? Can I prove it? I think that I can't, and nobody will believe me. We're crossing to this, let's say. The other thing is the local employment. What will happen if you have mine? Do I have a place in your mine? It's normal question for local. It's always normal question for locals. Where is my benefit? When we starting to explain the benefits. Actually, how we mitigate the things, the concerns, is written on the right side. Oh, sorry, on the right side here. For water, we plan and build a water treatment plant, but this water treatment plant is something which is, I don't know, is there any water treatment plant like this, where the mine, which is clear the water to drinkable, to potable drinking standard in Bulgaria. Means that you can drink water on the discharge point. The other thing that we do for water management is that we reach the zero discharge water from mine. Actually, we have treatment one, but we are not use it still. So it's 2 years of operation, and the third one is now. For preserving of these arable lands, people lands, we reduce the footprint of the project. And how we reduce it? We reduce it with maybe the only way, which is more expensive for us, but it's more good for the environment and for people lands. It is a new, how to say, mine waste facility which manages two different types of mine waste. One is the rocks that you need to dig to go to the ore, and the second one is tailings that you generated after the processing after the process. We building with we building cells with the rocks and put it the tailings inside. It's how to say it's not very complicated, but it's an interesting process. And to be more difficult for us, it is we put the mine waste in two gullies here, and the river is here, but you can see it here, but it's so closer. It's 100 meters from the facility. We built a lot of things to protect the water, the underground water, and all these things. But this is the potable water for town of Krumovgrad, which is interesting again. But we are protected now. For the dust, it's lots of things that we do, but maybe the thing that is very interesting for people is how they can. It's not control, but they can see what's happened with them air, and this is this online monitoring where we share 24 hours the information for dust in the air. 2.5 microns and 10 microns particles in the air. We have monitoring of noise too and vibrations, which is all put it on site in internet where everybody can see it. And maybe one thing which is very, very important for locals, and not only for locals like the people and for municipality too, is that we confirm that we'll employ 95% of people locally. Local people will work in the mine, and we did it. And something more, because Gary told you about the things that we doing in Bulgaria. We always trying to do more. And we established this small and medium enterprise fund for different projects which are not connected with mine at all. Means that we're trying to build up a local capacity, economical and let's say and knowledge too, to people how to go after the mine is closed, which is, I think it's very, very important for the future for all communities, no matter what you're doing and how much time you are there. And here you can see the symbolic turning point, we call it. It's a memorandum of understanding between company and municipality council. We signed it up this memorandum of understanding in 2015, and we take some I can find out the word now. Some things to do in the future. Some of them you can see it here, but we trying to manage. It's not managing. It's how to say. It's to be a part of the changing inside the municipality. We have some financing for local construction projects, which municipality don't have money for that. Let's say for drinking water, for some places that people living from, let's say, something like 300 years, and they don't have a water, which is European Union in 21st century. It's impossible to think about that, but we do it. We finance that type of projects. Like I said, we developed this small and medium business fund. We spent a lot of money for healthcare, for education of locals, to be our workers or not, no matter. And all this didn't happen if we are not sitting on the same place with all stakeholders. Now here you can see the water management, our water management. I didn't spend a lot of time here, but just would like to show these green fields here and these brown fields here. All our water management is based on these different how to say different places where we catch water and where we are not catching water. This is because of you can't see it here. You can see it on the next slide. But these green fields here are rehabilitated. And one of the things which is very very good for mining waste management is that this integrated mine waste facility gives you a chance to start rehabilitation of the area immediately after beginning of your tailings disposal. It's a good technology, very good technology, and it's for footprint. It's 3 times smaller, which is very good. Yeah, you can see it here. This is the beginning of the rehabilitation. Here we collect the water, pump it the top. Here there is a reservoirs that you saw it in the previous picture. There is a cells, like you see, they are isolated. And there is a drainage material which gives you a chance to collect the water at the bottom, pump it again, and reuse it. We reach 89% of water recycled used. Like I said, talking about zero discharge, it could be reached only if you have a good water management. And one of things that we used for this is actually this facility. And what we can say about the Natura 2000, to be more difficult for us, it is two protected species of tortoises which are living at the same area where you saw that we have a mine. Actually, our investment proposal were assessed in front of Natura 2000 directive and regulation in Bulgaria. And the report of the assessment and the way of assessment was published as a good practice in European Union case study for 2013, which is good for new project in Natura 2000 area. But there is, again, some challenges that we faced, but let's say that it is good and it's, how to say, it's a way of thinking for Natura 2000 and business inside Natura 2000. Actually, this project with tortoises, because it's a let's say it's a small project inside our big one, have a good results of monitoring of these species. Actually, there is no data for the living of these species. And we're starting with one environmental expert who is dealing with monitoring of these species 5 months a year, every year. And we have lots of monitored single species, let's say, on this territory.
Since 2008.
Since 2008, yes. Which is basement for education and for scientific knowledge, let's say. I will giving now the floor again to Gergana because it's interesting, but it's not in my, let's say, area.
It's how to say, I mentioned it. I mentioned that all of a sudden you discover that it is not only that you are mining at the moment, but there was mining thousands of years ago. I can never manage with the historical periods and the thousands of years, so I would not try it. Uh, but the archaeologists who were working on the site found out that there was something that they analyzed with the university in Vienna, actually, and they found out that this dates back as old as I don't know how many years back, but this was the oldest mine in Europe. And actually, there is 17 tons of ceramics that was unearthed and uncovered while we were researching the site where Adatepe mine currently is. So these tons of ceramics are currently being analyzed by archaeologists. We have an archaeological team working every summer and collecting, trying to piece together everything that's been found. So some of the pieces are already in the National Museum of Archaeology. Some are to be in an archaeological museum that is currently being finalized in Krumovgrad. Um, this will be yet another area that will be attracting tourists and people to Krumovgrad. This is a small community that you wouldn't go to um, if there wasn't anything interesting. So at the moment, we're trying to create even more things that one could see in the town. Um, the archaeological findings actually were also presented in Vienna in the Museum of History and Culture. And this became the most popular exhibition at the moment. It was presented 4 years ago for this period for the museum, which for us is especially important because Krumovgrad came to be known um, as the town with the oldest mine in Europe. So we continue to not only rescue the archaeological findings, but also to raise the popularity of the area, which to us is very important. And another thing Ivan mentioned already, but we coming into a community that was totally different in terms of its history, in terms of its traditions and economy, it was difficult to find people who would deal with industry. There were no people who actually had a hand or experience in any sort of heavy industry. So the company, understanding the people, had to invest heavily on training, and now 280 people, 98% of which are local people, work at the mine. Of course, something that we continue to do is invest in the wider community as well with the small and medium-sized enterprise fund that we currently fund. It's a 5 million euros fund that is doubled by our partner Raiffeisen Bank in Bulgaria. And so far, starting in 2019, actually this was the year our mine was officially opened and started operation. So in 2019, was also the first year of our SME fund. So far, we have 33 projects that have been approved and operating, and 95 new jobs. And what we are trying to do is actually substitute the jobs that we're currently providing in the community with new jobs that are not related to mining, so that once the mine life's over, we actually have a community that has some sort of subsistence beyond mining. This is one of the problems that recognize is generally bad for mining because it leaves community that are just bare and very soon depopulated. Our aim is to preserve the people who have been back, actually over 50 people, which for Krumovgrad is awfully huge number. 50 people came from abroad, returning home to work for the mine or run their own businesses, which currently changes the community entirely. And Krumovgrad is a lively town, increasing in terms of birth rate as well, and also increasing in terms of salaries and in terms of well-being generally. So I have seen how the mind changes the environment, changes the people, changes the lifestyle, and also the dreams as well of people And I think this is really what we need to do. We need to give people dreams, and mining, because it is a technologically advanced thing, can give dreams to people, those employed in working and those benefiting from mining. So we hope that there are more projects like this. Thank you, Slav.
Thank you.